Happy Tuesday, Bengals fans. Welcome into another edition of Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields. On today's episode, going to be taking a look at the Philadelphia Eagles. A little Tuesday preview here as the Bengals get ready for their Week 8 matchup. Coming home after 2 games on the road against the New York Giants and Cleveland Browns. 2 games that the Bengals were able to walk away winners. So the Bengals really starting to heat up here after 2 consecutive wins, hoping to make it a 3rd straight on Sunday. And on today's video, we're going to do a little preview. We're going to talk some injury news, of course, for both the Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. And, of course, I'm going to give you my 5 keys to victory and how the Bengals can destroy the Philadelphia Eagles come Sunday. Certainly a challenge for this football team. They've won 2 straight games, as I mentioned, but this is definitely a much better team that they're going to have to deal with at home on Sunday at Paycor Stadium in the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we get into that, by the way, just a heads up, doing a little solo producing here on today's show. So if you see me look down or what have you, just trying to do multiple things here at once, so bear with me through that process. But we are in an October-like battle, as we have mentioned several times here on Bengals Breakdown with our Ravens channel. As you can see, we have a little bit less than 1,000 lead against our Ravens channel. Now, last month in September, we led the entirety of the month, and then we lost it right in the final days of September. Kind of similar things going on here as we sit here on October 22nd. We've led the entire month. Let's not lose it at the very end once again. Help us out. Hit that thumbs up icon. Something you should do for all of our videos here at Bengals Breakdown. We really appreciate it. Here, like that video if you have not done so already. All right, let's hop into the injury report here for Cincinnati. Gino Stone. Here's what Zach Taylor said about Gino Stone. He said, "We'll be sore, but he likes his chances in terms of playing on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles." And boy, is that good news for Cincinnati, because it really looked like Gino Stone suffered a very serious injury towards the end of that football game against the Cleveland Browns, really in garbage time, got carted off, leg was in an air cast. But apparently it's just a shin contusion, which is, pretty nasty bruise that he's dealing with. But all signs point towards him potentially playing for Cincinnati on Sunday. Of course, when the Bengals start practice this week, we will keep a close eye on Gino Stone. But good news for Cincinnati, probably not losing a starter there at the back end of their defense. Stone hasn't, played his best football here with Cincinnati, but did have a big interception last week against the Browns, his first as a Cincinnati Bengal. So signs pointing in the right direction for the Bengals safety in Gino Stone. Orlando Brown Jr. got dinged up in that Cleveland game. We all thought originally it was a knee issue. That's kind of what initially was reported. It kept him out for the remainder of that game. Cody Ford came in and played that left tackle spot. Turns out, Ian Rappaport reporting yesterday on Monday that it's a calf issue for Orlando Brown Jr., and Zach Taylor said he is questionable for the game on Sunday. So Orlando Brown Jr. really, along with Ted Karras, has been the Bengals' best offensive lineman this season. Would be a massive hit, having to give Cody Ford the start and not Orlando Brown Jr. in this game, because, of course, you got to deal with pass rushers like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in this football game. So fingers crossed on Orlando Brown Jr., but it looks like he's going to have an opportunity to potentially get himself ready for the game. Currently questionable with the calf issue, according to Zach Taylor. Leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. Will Orlando Brown Jr. play on Sunday? I want to know your guys' thoughts. Be honest with us in the comment section. Type Y for yes or N for no. If that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comment section and let us know what you think. All right, let's flip the script here a little bit and start talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and the injuries that they are dealing with. So the Bengals going to catch a bit of a break here. Jordan Mailata was placed on IR with a hamstring issue. He didn't play in the game against the Giants last week that Philadelphia played in. And look, Mailata is one of the best offensive tackles in the National Football League. So that means Trey Hendrickson is going to be going up against a backup, which we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. So that's a break for Cincinnati. Like I said, Mailata, an incredible player, someone that the Bengals aren't going to have to deal with on Sunday. Next up, Dallas Goedert really solid tight end for Philadelphia. He also did not play last week against the New York Giants in Philadelphia's win, also dealing with a hamstring injury. And, we'll see exactly where he is at. Don't really know much about his status going into this game, but if he's not able to go, it's going to mean a lot of Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown. Going to see a lot of that regardless. But Dallas Goedert, really solid tight end. We'll see what his situation is throughout the week, and, of course, we'll monitor if he is participating in practice or not and keep you guys informed on that front. Lastly here for Philadelphia, Makai Beckton left last week's game with a concussion. Another starter along this Philadelphia offensive line. We'll see if he's going to be able to bounce back this week, again, dealing with that concussion, or if Philadelphia is going to be without Makai Beckton in this football game. And looks like the Bengals might be facing several backups along that Philadelphia offensive line. We'll see if they're going to be able to take advantage of that. Obviously, you hope Beckton is able to go, but he did suffer a concussion in that win against the Giants. We'll keep you monitored on that front as well. Before we get into our keys to victory here on Bengals Breakdown, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics and let you guys know that the Bengals sideline hats are on sale now. There's really several cool ones that you can get there over at Fanatics, so I encourage all of you guys to go over there and check that out. I've gotten a couple of these already. I love wearing them. I think there's some really cool hats. So get you some Bengals swag. Head on over to Fanatics. That's chatsports.com/Bengals sideline. And that link will be in the comments and the description of today's video. So go check that out and get you some Bengals sideline swag. All right, let's get into some keys to victory here on today's edition of Bengals Breakdown. Key to victory number 1, make Jaylen Herz beat you. I haven't mentioned Saquon Barkley's name yet on today's show. Boy, is he having a great season. When he's out there and he's healthy, I really think he's one of the best running backs in the National Football League. He is absolutely outstanding. So the Bengals are going to doing everything they can to take him out of the equation and not let him kill this Bengals football team. And I think you're going to have some opportunities to turn Jaylen Herz over in this game. Ever since his OC, Shane Steichen, left for the Indianapolis Colts head coaching job a couple of seasons ago after Philadelphia went to the Super Bowl, he hasn't been the same player. I still have a lot of belief in Jaylen Herz. I think he's still a really good quarterback in this league. But you've noticed over these couple of seasons, even going back to 2023, that Jaylen Herz is going to turn the ball over a little bit more than he did when Steichen was at the helm. So I think the Bengals, they can apply some pressure on Hertz. Again, really focus on trying to limit Saquon Barkley. They might have an opportunity to catch some passes defensively from Jaylen Herz, and obviously that could be a really major factor in this football game for Cincinnati. I'm going to try to force Jaylen Herz to beat us with his arm if I am Lou Anarumo, because Saquon Barkley is just that good. Second key to victory, it's really a prove-it game for Cam Taylor-Britt, right? He got benched in that Carolina game, the Bengals' first win of the season. I'm sure that was kind of a rude awakening for CTB, right? Having to deal with that adversity. That's certainly something that was tough. He's played better in previous weeks against Cleveland and New York, though. So he really hasn't had to go against any elite receivers. New York obviously was without Malik Neighbors in that football game, and then Cleveland had just traded Amari Cooper, so he wasn't out there to have to deal with at all in that game either. Now, when you're talking about Philadelphia, you're talking about A.J. Brown and Devonte Smith, who are probably one of the best wide receiver duos in the National Football League. So he's going to really have to have a big game for Cincinnati and really all of those DBs, because if you're bringing pressure, trying to stop the run, you're going to find yourself in some one-on-one matchups. DJ Turner, of course, taking over for Dax Hill, and I think he's done a solid job of that. But this will be his toughest challenge to date, no doubt about that, going against this Philadelphia Eagles wide receiving core. They do a really nice job. They have a lot of talent there, obviously, with A.J. Brown and Devonte Smith. So this group is going to have their work cut out for them, and they need CTB to really take the lead here in this game and do a good job locking down, or at least slowing down, one of the Philadelphia Eagles receivers, no matter who it is, whether it's Devonte Smith or A.J. Brown. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved here with our show at Bengals Breakdown. Who you got in this football game. Type B if you got the Cincinnati Bengals. Type E if you have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bengals are, last I checked, about 2.5-point favorites in this game right now. Massive game at home in the jungle at Paycor Stadium. So let us know in the comments who you got in this Week 8 matchup. Next up, Trey Hendrickson. He's got to stay hot in this football game. He's had a really strong start to 2024. He is just such a good football player for Lou Anarumo and his defense. And he's got to keep it up. Like I mentioned, he was going to have that matchup with Jordan Mailata. But with Mailata out, a backup is in. And that's really going to give Hendrickson an opportunity to feast and really build off those 7 sacks that he has this season. I believe that's tied for 4th in the National Football League right now. So I'm expecting another big game from Hendrickson. Again, that Philadelphia offensive line is beat up, and the Bengals defensive line just continues to get healthier and healthier and play better and better in football as each week goes on. So I'm looking for Trey Hendrickson to have a big impact in this game. The Bengals certainly need him to if they're going to be successful on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, we spent a lot of time talking about the defense. Let's flip things over a little bit to the offense. Absolutely have to be better on third down. Matter of fact, you have been downright awful at third down the past 2 weeks against Cleveland and the week prior to that against the New York Giants. These are the numbers. It's pretty hard to believe. The Bengals were 2 of 13 on third down last week against Cleveland. Certainly got to give some credit to Cleveland's defense. We talked about that on yesterday's show. They got guys all over the place. But still, 2 of 13 is unacceptable. And even if you're trying to be one of the best offenses in the National Football League, which I think the Bengals have the ability to do, doesn't matter how good of the defense you are playing. You have to do better than that. And then similar numbers really the week prior, 4 of 11 against the New York Football Giants. That just isn't going to cut it. Again, Philadelphia is much better than Cleveland or New York, so you're going to have to bring a little bit of a better effort offensively and do a lot better job on third down. Usually a down that Joe Burrow thrives on. Hasn't been the case the past 2 weeks. That needs to change if the Bengals are going to win this game on Sunday. Lastly, last key to victory here, you have to take advantage of Philadelphia's mistakes. I do believe they're going to have some mistakes in this football game, whether it is, just Jaylen Herz missing a pass, Jaylen Herz turning the football over, you force a fumble, whatever it is, have to be able to take advantage of that. Because last week against Cleveland was making mistakes all over the place. Obviously, they had 3 quarterbacks play in that football game, and it felt like Cleveland would make a mistake, and the Bengals would say, oh, I appreciate that, thanks so much, but we'll just punt it right back to you and not even do anything about it. That has to change against Philadelphia. When you're playing these better teams, you have to find a way to capitalize when they make a mistake. The Bengals have not done that when they were winning football games, and one of the best teams in the NFL in 21 and 22. They were good at this, and they have not been good at this season. That has to change on Sunday. Got to take advantage when Philadelphia is kind of giving you some early Christmas presents, right? Cleveland gave them a ton last week. Weren't able to do anything with it. Hopefully that turns around on Sunday for Cincinnati. And we got some injury news that we'll be monitoring all week from both clubs, Philadelphia and Cincinnati. So if you want those injury updates, make sure you hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. I'm sure at the end of the week we will have a full injury-focused video for you guys. And when any injury news pops up, we will have a short for you guys as well as I'll have an update on my Twitter at StoneShields_. But regardless, help us out, help yourself out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV.